you have to climb the hill after a while. St. Paul.
Well, St. Paul, big place, or?
No, it's a small place, and yet they had a baseball diamond, and so for years teams would play each other at St. Paul.
Huh? Yeah, that's good.
The people at St. Paul were pretty savvy. They knew how to make a little money, so they built a stand for people, and then they had these little shops here and there, selling everything from popcorn to, oh good heavens, fudge.
Fudge. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So tell me about that at St. Paul. Who would have got that idea to put in a diamond, and what got that started, I wonder?
Well, back in the day, Sunday afternoon was the time for baseball games.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime you have people coming together to watch a game, you have people thirsty.
Oh, yeah.
And hungry.
Oh, there was probably some cider and some beer. And was there much alcohol, or was it a dry county?
Officially, it was dry. Unofficially, you could get it if you wanted it. And
they probably had something underneath that stand. Maybe that's why they built the stand, was so they could sell the unofficial stuff underneath the.
That's where they did it. Yeah. That's where. Yep.
Did you ever partake?
Not when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You get your butt whacked.
So how far away was that baseball diamond from where you lived?
Oh, just 2 or 3 miles.
Yeah.
And in those days, the games were almost every Sunday afternoon.
Uh-huh.
Now and then they would have a Saturday game or even a Monday game, but
a Monday game? That's strange. Yeah. Why would they do it on Monday?
Well, it depends on what that Monday, if that Monday was a holiday, you know, and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, and who would be playing on those Sunday afternoons?
Well, those little mountain communities, at their best, or at their strongest, they always had a team ready to take on the other teams in the vicinity.
Huh.
And I don't know, it saddens me to think about how well they did, and yet that league folded. Too many people were going here and going there, you know, and
so they started
you
going.
Just you can't have a good team if you got people, you know. It's like if on one Sunday your center fielder is gone and your catcher is missing and things like that.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, but would they practice during the week or no?
Oh, yeah. Very often they had to do it on Saturday.
Uh-huh.
And I remember a few practices were almost in the dark.
Oh, in the evening, yeah. But it's interesting to me because it's kind of got an allegory there for community building and how communities can come together and work as a team. And
That
one
was
community
one of the main functions of, because on Sunday afternoon, in between innings or during the warm-up period, people would contribute.
Yeah.
And it was kind of amazing, really, how generous people could be.
And how
we're talking about mainly poor people,
Yeah,
low-income
yeah.
people, and yet they'd still pitch in a buck here and a buck there.
And what would they do with that money? I mean, how would that money be spent then? Uniform? Did they have uniforms or?
No, well, sometimes, but
It was more to maintain.
If you're running a baseball league, you've got to have things like catcher's mitts and so on.
Right. All the equipment gets expensive.
Well, and the catchers are probably the I don't what would be the word you talk about the war zone. It could get pretty heavy right around the home plate sometimes.
Yeah. And the umpires with their. Did they pay the umpires, do you think? Or were they just, was everybody volunteer?
Very often the umpires would volunteer.
Uh-huh.
But on the other hand, a lot of the work was voluntary. Every now and then there'd be like an old guy who'd been doing it for 25 years and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Some of them would just do it for the love of the game, like my dad.
Yeah.
He
Did he? What did he do?
He was one of the coaches.
Oh.
Or a manager. Yeah.
If he was a coach, then the coaches really have to be there regularly.
Oh yeah, you have to practice, and well, it's.
So you go down with your dad to St. Paul, and how often would that happen? How old were you?
Anywhere from, I guess, 5 to.
Oh my. Uh-huh.
15, 18.
That's a good chunk of time. That's where you got your start and built your arm.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Did others in your family go with you?
Yes. It was Sunday afternoon was the recreation was baseball or softball or whatever it was. A lot depended on what equipment was available.
Yeah. And how long had your dad been involved in it? When did he get started? Do you know much about his history, about baseball at St. Paul?
Everything I knew about baseball I learned from him.
Right. But where did he learn it? My dad used to have this phrase of who told him. So where did your dad get it from?
Well, from his dad and a cluster of men of varying age.
Uh-huh.
And the great thing about it is that usually if one player moved off somewhere with his family,
Uh-huh.
the fill-in happened pretty rapidly. They didn't have much trouble putting players putting a team on the field.
That's great. So you were there, you were playing ball at St. Paul, or going to you weren't actually playing at age 5, were you? You just go along with them?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
what other memories do you have of the ball field at St. Paul? Was it big or?
Well, what they did in our community, Cass had players from both Combs and Cass.
Uh-huh.
They decided at some point to bring players from both communities, or to combine the two, because it doesn't make a lot of sense to try to play each other when you can barely put a team on the field.
Right. And they would have if you put the players from Combs, you said, and Cass together, you'd get 9? Or how many would you need to really
You
field?
a stronger team.
Yeah, but how many would you pull to get?
How many what?
How many would be on their team if those two groups, Cass and Combe, came together?
Well, usually you could usually get a team of 9 fairly easily, but sometimes it was difficult depending on which families had moved where,
Right.
Some had moved as far away as California.
Oh my.
And so I don't know. One of my great regrets is a lot of those old timers like my father should have been interviewed, put on tape.
Yeah.
Because they had all these stories. And every now and then the games would erupt into pretty terrible fights.
Oh, do you remember a fight? What do you remember about those fights or the stories of the fights?
Not much.
At that diamond at St. Paul.
Usually
Yeah.
you're expected to keep your mouth shut.
Uh-huh. Yeah, right. You didn't want to be part. Did your dad get involved in the fights?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was the coach.
Yeah. Well, he was pretty tough. He was dedicated to baseball.
Uh-huh.
They used to say that baseball was America's national religion. And that was true in those little communities.
I think baseball in those communities did a lot to bring them together and to teach people how to behave with each other. There's sort of got that sense of the rules and allowed people to also release their aggression. Has that been written about much? The role
I don't think it has been exhausted as a topic, because one or two people have demonstrated that it can be a subject of good fiction,
Yeah.
and you can run a run the stories, right out of the history,
Yeah.
and you can camouflage it if you need to, but there were only a few things that you wouldn't dare write about,
Okay.
because of those things would renew old disputes and
Yeah.
animosities, I guess would be the
Yeah.
word.
So baseball can bring a community together, but writing the wrong things can tear folks apart.
Yes.
What type of, do you remember any stories, or can you think of an example of that?
Not in the abstract.
Yeah. Yeah. Or a fight that you remember your dad getting?
Well, there would be. I mean, he told a bunch of stories, and sometimes the stories would engage history,
Uh-huh.
which is to say, it was mainly a story of what really happened. And I think sometimes he had some important insights into that.
Right.
Uh,
Stories do that.
you know,
And I'm sure he would, was he the sort of person who would embed an insight into a story about baseball?
very often the moral would be there.
Yeah. What type of morals would be there in a St. Paul baseball diamond? Yeah.
Sportsmanship would be one.
Uh-huh.
Uh, but I don't know. It's interesting how some interesting characters would turn up. There was a minister, a roving minister named Jimmy Yarborough,
Uh-huh.
and the incredible thing about Jimmy was that when he got mad, he was ferocious.
Did he ever use words that he didn't use in the pulpit?
Right. Right. Yeah.
Jimmy Yarborough.
Yeah. In fact, he was giving a sermon one time, and he took an analogy from his history. Somebody in the back got up and said, "Now, Jimmy, you know what you left out."
Really?
And Jimmy did know what he left out.
Yeah.
Because it was not one of the happier moments of that community.
And did that guy in the back, when he accosted Jimmy, did he share it with the whole community or just?
Oh yeah, he got up in the meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
No, there was no 101. 101 would have been pretty bad. But,
Do you remember what it was that he left out, or Jimmy, or?
Oh, it just had something to do with I think it was an argument about the relief pitcher.
Oh.
But
So Jimmy Yarborough would talk about the games during his sermons, huh?
of course.
Okay. That's interesting. That's good. It was something people could relate to.
Well, Sometimes they had to change the time of the service to accommodate the game.
Oh,
That sort of thing.
well, they would be on Sunday, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Did any of the teams? I mean, would they be drawn from one particular congregation or another, or
Oh yeah.
were they interdenominational?
Uh, in rural communities, it's very difficult to field a complete team simply from that community.
Yeah.
You need to borrow an outfielder for one game, a catcher for another, that kind of stuff.
And they would change, so the team's makeup would change each game almost, it sounds, from the way you're telling it.
To some degree. Yep.
And folks were okay with that. There wasn't.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So as you grew up, you were playing with those in those games.
Yeah. The yeah. Well, it's pretty. It's a complex story when it comes to explaining why and how how and why mountain baseball collapsed.
Huh.
Part of it was that the mobility of families.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people, like half the family would have gone to California or Colorado or someplace like that.
So mountain baseball, part of its collapse was the mobility of everybody. And what they were getting jobs? I mean, was it did leave for jobs? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
People were always hunting for jobs, and
This was all right after World War II, right? Or before?
well, it would have been more like the Korean War time.
Korean War. Uh-huh. So they were a lot of them were moving out of Arkansas and the Ozarks into cities for industrial.
Joplin, Kansas City, St. Louis, and even places like Denver and San Francisco.
Hmm. And how would they hear about those jobs?
Usually family grapevine.
Yeah.
It's like if one cousin gets a really nice job, he usually brings in two or three others.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes that would involve quite a few families.
I'm curious also about communication between, not just within the small communities, which is around baseball, they would have had communication town to town, but with your, like if there was a cousin in San Francisco or somebody in San Francisco who heard about a job, how would they notify? It wasn't telephone, was it? It was
A lot of it was letters,
letters?
postcards.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then we're talking about the family networks,
Yeah.
and the role of women in those family networks is critical.
Uh-huh. Pretty much as it is everywhere with the.
Yep.
You had enough breakfast? You want more?
What's that?
Do you have enough? Oh, you still have some there. You're still
Oh,
working
yeah.
on it.